A common place for implants to develop is around the joints of your body, in your neck, shoulders, elbows, wrists, and fingers, and on your lower body, around your waist, hips, knees, ankles, and toes. So you never want to ignore your arms and legs, because implants will build up there too. And to tell you what happened to me, I got a buildup of implants in my right hip, calf, and foot. And it got so bad that I started having trouble walking. So I put pressure on the outer side of my hip, and after a couple of hours of meditating, the implant came out. However, I found that I could not apply the same amount of my body's weight onto my knees, calf muscles, and ankles, because they are farther down your leg. And eventually, a terrible implant developed in the side of my calf that began to cause some serious pain whenever I had to stand for long periods of time or go running. And since it was hard to put my body's weight directly on the side of my calf muscle, I had to use my fingers to really press down on the whole area, starting at my knees, then into my calf and foot. And I did that for about 40 minutes, and I really pressed down on all my tendons, muscles, and joints all throughout my legs. And I also took my knuckles and I raked them up and down the sides of my hip, calf, and foot. And then when I got into a leaning prone position and put my body's weight onto that area the best I could, I started breathing real deep, focusing on lifting the energy out of my calves, and the implant began to lift out like a giant snake of energy that had wrapped itself all around my leg. So the implant had formed in a network from my hip, through my knee, and into my calf, ankle, toes, and even on the side of my foot. So a great deal of energy can build up in your lower legs and cause you a lot of problems. So you never want to neglect your legs. So spend some time every day pressing on your legs, and that is also what you must do with your arms. And so you start up by your neck and shoulders, pressing on that area, and then onto your biceps, all around your elbow and forearm, your wrist, your hand, and fingers. And a major place they seem to build up was in the muscle at the top of your forearm, right near your elbow area. And again, use your knuckles to rake up and down your arms as well. And then lie in a prone or side position and extend your arm upward and breathe with the focus of lifting the energy out of your shoulder, arm, and hands. And while you're doing this, you could continue to press with your free hand, and at times you could lean onto that arm the best you can using the side or leaning prone positions. And then you want to do that for your other arm. And because agents can use these implants in your arms and hands to cause sudden weakness, so you drop things or have difficulty with hand-eye coordination, you never want to forget that implants can also build up in your arms and hands. And again, pressure points will be found around the joints of your body, like your elbow, wrist, and knuckles. And there is a pressure point on the fleshy part of your hand between your thumb and index finger. And as far as your legs go, I told you about the pressure point in your outer calf muscle shown here. And I also told you about the pressure points throughout the inner part of your hip, at the joint where your hip meets your pelvis, and also where your hip meets your knee, and actually all through there. And you could lie in a side position and then press on those areas with the heel of your foot like this. And another huge pressure point is on the back side of your hip, right where your hip meets your pelvis area. So you could sit in a traditional meditation style with your back against the sofa or wall, and then extend one of your legs and bring the other one in so that your heel is underneath the leg that is extended out, and position your heel so it is in the center of the underside of your hip, right at the joint where your hip meets your pelvis. And by putting your body's weight onto it, you will know when you have found that pressure point, because you will feel an aching sensation and lift from that area. And if you haven't done this before, you will feel a lot of energy being released from that area. So again, implants are known to form at pressure points, and pressure points are often located around the joints of your body. And by implanting people at those places is one of the major ways military agents can cause a lot of pain, difficulty moving, and can eventually handicap the target. So they have linked an agent or agents to me who have had hip and knee replacement surgeries. And I felt something like a blunt instrument pressing down on the sides of my hips and knees. And so I had to spend a lot of time getting those implants out. And even then, when they would connect this person to me, it was strange, but through the radio frequency connection, I would often feel a numbness in my hip as if I were linked to someone who was used to limping around with a hip replacement. So the neural connection is sometimes a strange thing to get used to. Now the whole point to these military harassment programs is to not only get these implants to build up in the target, but to get them attached onto their nervous system. And by getting these implants attached to your nervous system, or to stick on you, is the way these agents can monitor you, control you, and hurt you the most. And over the centuries, the Vatican and their militaries have learned that they could get these implants to stick on people the best by angering them. So, agents will be positioned in your area, and all through the night, they will blast your house with radio frequency energy and link themselves to you to get these mutual implants to form. Then, the next time you leave the house, these same agents will make it a game to follow you around and harass you in a passive-aggressive manner. And they will do this with their cars, and they will do this especially when you are out in public. So there are many ways agents will harass you in a passive-aggressive manner. And to give you a couple of examples, usually agents will flail their arms around while speaking or laughing in a loud voice that they project toward you while pretending to talk to a fellow agent. They will also walk aggressively toward you, but then steer off at the last second. Or they will do something like lunge for something on a shelf right beside you at a store. So the whole point is for them to subtly threaten you so that you notice them, you get angry at them, and they get this connection to form. And also, through these implants, the military can induce anger and nervousness and often affect the way you speak. So words may come out stuttered at times. For example, agents who act as employees of a store that you are at may also try to heckle you. And often they do this by glaring at you and acting like they do not understand what you are saying. And all this is designed to get you angry and even more tongue-tied. And when this happens, things can spiral out of control. Because if the manager is called into the situation, often the manager will act even worse towards you than the employee. So again, the best way to deal with this is to stay calm, speak slowly, and show them that they cannot really bother you. And this usually neutralizes the situation, and the agents will often drop the attitude if you remain basically polite. So it kind of takes away the whole game that they have to play. But I'm sad to say that this is probably not how most people have handled this in the past. People who have become targets probably do not realize what is happening to them. They don't understand why this is happening to them and where this is all going. They don't realize that they are in an area where a great deal of the population has been replaced by military agents, especially in all the businesses as well as municipal positions. So in the target's mind, everyone is acting crazy and is picking on them, and their only reaction is anger. And once you grow angry, the military will often turn up the energy, so things will feel even more chaotic, and then agents will begin to harass you even more. And they will do this in the store, and they will do this out in the parking lot, and they will do this especially as you start to drive away, and they will cut you off. They will drive recklessly and attempt to cause accidents because they know that you are already in an agitated state of mind, and they want to get you even more enraged so they could get you into a car accident or call the cops. So this is all a game that the military enjoys playing on their targets. And they do this to not only make your lives unmanageable, but to also get these implants to attach onto your nervous system. Because this is the way they can monitor you, torture you, and control you the best. So if you stay calm and remember to breathe correctly, less implants will build up in you. The implants that do build up will be easier to remove later, and you will have an easier time getting through the day. And when these implants fuse onto your nervous system, this enables the military the ability to cause you a lot of pain with the energy weapons later. So in the past, I've grown upset and projected a lot of rage back at these agents, yet this has always come back to haunt me. I have grown angry before in traffic, and instead of staying calm and balancing the incoming energy, I had begun to project a lot of it back. And before I knew it, hundreds of agents were rolling up on me, a few at a time, all doing things to get me to grow more and more enraged and project more energy back at them. And before I knew it, I was experiencing something that felt like a heart attack sensation. So this is the process that they want, and this is what all of them have gone through. They are taught to project hate non-stop through their life at their different targets, and have gotten these terrible implants to attach onto their bodies that they become slaves to. So at any time, these agents can be severely hurt with the energy directed at their implants. So if you are staying calm and the military decides to attack you, the energy that they project at you ends up being circulated back at them and hits them in these implants that have all built up in their bodies. And this causes them more pain than anything else you could do. So that is the power of someone who refuses to give in to hate. And that is one of the most important things you have going for you when you are up against thousands of these agents. So remember, you cannot fight fire with fire. And if you ever get one of these implants caught, you will feel the attacks a lot more. However, you can still remove it using the same tactics explained in this report. Alright, the next section is called Agents Using Energy Fields to Affect Feelings. Now once you begin to get used to the energy and you could balance it a lot more, the military will use these radio frequency connections to attempt to control you in other ways. And that is often by introducing agents who they want you to see as good guys. And they do this by reversing the energy on you and causing you a lot of anxiety and pressure. And then they turn off that connection just as one of their agents walks up to you, who they're trying to pass off as a regular person. And as I explained at the start of the video series, many, if not all, of the military agents will induce a very bad feeling in you due to who they are and these implants that have built up in them. Yet certain agents seem to cause this agitation more than others, while others seem to be easier to ignore. And I think the ones that caused the agitation the most are often the higher ups, who soon saw this as a weakness when dealing with me, because I would always know who they were. So they decided to start playing these games in public designed to confuse things. So they would have the worst agents come in contact with me while turning the energy fields down. So these agents' presence would be accompanied with a temporary relief of the painful energy, and vice versa. They would position people near me who weren't as bad and then reverse the energy and press down on the implants so their presence would be accompanied with bad feelings. And as I explained before, agents can link themselves to you and then project their feelings toward you, which is usually rage. And that's to get you to lose control in stressful situations. However, they could also project happy feelings at certain times. So they could have a very bad agent walk up to you, cut the machines down, then have the agents connected to you project nothing but happy feelings. So you may think, wow, I get a good vibe from this guy. Well, the truth is that he is one of the worst. And I know that this is kind of bad news, because how will you know the good guys or the regular people from the bad? And that's a good question. Yet for one, when you are targeted by the military, they always make it a point to surround you with just their agents and will apply all their efforts to keep you from meeting any other real people. So unfortunately, in military-controlled regions of the country, there is going to be nothing but military personnel in that area. And you will start to recognize how they look and act. And you will also begin to recognize their game, which is to use most of their people to piss you off, and then introduce you to some who act neutral and appear normal. And they do this so that you will accept a few of them as your friends. And these people who manage to get the closest to you are often the worst people that they have, because they are the best at hiding what they are. And these are the agents who will hurt you the most by getting into your personal life and then using their proximity to attack and manipulate you the most. So the best advice I have is to just ignore them all. So what does it mean to ignore them? Put simply, don't look at them. When you are driving, keep your eyes on the road. Focus on your driving and don't look at the people and passing cars. Same thing when you go into a store. Don't stare at the other shoppers. Just keep your focus on your own business. And when you are forced to deal with someone, like an employee of a store or someone you may work with, just be cordial. And that means you don't have to go out of your way to be nice to them, but don't be rude to them either. Because a big part of the military program is to try to convince you that some of their people are good guys or are not as bad as the rest. And that is the way they introduce handlers into your life. And these are the agents that will hurt you the most. So do not fall for any of their games, and understand that it is best to treat them all the same, because behind the scenes, they are all the same and are chosen very carefully for this type of treacherous work in the military.